Nole Insiders Lane Hurt and Tim Linefelt here with you, fresh right off of Jimbo Fisher's Monday press conference. I think you tweeted it yourself, Tim. New official motto at Florida State: do your job.
Yeah, it was certainly the theme of Jimbo Fisher's post-game press conference at USF the other day, and it really carried over, I thought, to today's availability or meeting with the press. More often than not, yeah, I had a question. What was different, from last week against Louisville to this week? We did our jobs. What did the offensive line do better? They did their jobs. How about the defense during those 9 drives where they held USF off the scoreboard?
Wait. They did their jobs?
They did. You figured it out. They did. And look, it's super simple and the kind of thing that you'd put on, a T-shirt. It reminds me, and I'm sure other people, of Bill Belichick, the coach of the New England Patriots, who is as successful as he is short sometimes with the media. But, I think there's something to it. At some point, it's football. These guys have been playing football for a long time, and a lot of times what you can sum up with some of the issues that Florida State has had this year is just do what you're supposed to. Do what you're supposed to do and make it happen. Cut out the excuses, cut out the whys and the hows, just do it. And if that message resonates, it could actually be a pretty good thing.
One guy who fans have been noticing has been doing his job of late is interior lineman Fred Jones. Yeah. Young guy looked pretty impressive out there.
Yeah, there was a clip on Twitter. I remember seeing it live. We had kind of a weird angle on it, and somebody during the press conference had a clip on Twitter of Fred Jones just kind of bull rushing the USF center, getting his arms extended, knocking the dude on his rear end, and then getting into the backfield. You're like, hey, okay, that's an I belong type of play for Fred Jones, and of course, both his dad and his uncle played at Florida State, continuing that legacy and proving to I think everybody that he's here because he deserves to be on the field and can make plays. And so that's a really big deal because we saw Derek Nottie he was a little banged up on Saturday, played a bit, but Fred got most of the reps, and Florida State's defensive line played really well, and he more than held his own. I thought he actively impacted the game.
Another big impact on the game, the rushing attack, 460-plus yards. Dalvin Cook, a career day. Jaquez Patrick, over 100 yards. A huge day, but those things can't happen without the wide receivers. Those guys blocked extremely well. Jimbo talked about that, and also talked about some of his favorites, guys who were really good blocking receivers.
Yeah, the point that Jimbo Fisher made was on those long runs that we get so used to seeing with Dalvin Cook, the 75-yarder. I mean, obviously the offensive line has to do their job, but those plays don't happen without the receivers blocking the defensive backs down the field. He singled out the receivers, and also the tight end said that Maven Saunders had maybe his best game of his career during his time here at Florida State. So certainly an encouraging development there. Yeah, and Jimbo was asked about who are some of his best blocking wide receivers. He mentioned Kelvin Benjamin as one, Preston Parker from his days as an offensive coordinator as one, and then he went back and he's mentioned this name a lot, Michael Clayton from LSU. They said that they still show the receivers film of Michael Clayton the way that he blocked back when Jimbo was his coordinator there. So once again, an encouraging development there because as we've said several times, being able to block is a prerequisite really for seeing the field as a receiver. You're going to do that before you get involved in the passing game.
And you can't forget Ryan Izzo blocking his guy out on Jaquez Patrick's touchdown run all the way out of the back of the end zone. That was entertaining.
And blocked him to Busch Gardens.
And of course, Florida State, it doesn't get any easier for the Seminoles. UNC coming up this week, an offense that may be one of the fastest tempos out there in UNC.
Yeah, it'll be a little different in that Mitch Trubisky, the UNC quarterback, he can move, but you wouldn't call him a mobile quarterback in the mold of, say, a Lamar Jackson or a Quentin Flowers. But you saw what he did last week against Pittsburgh. It was up around 450 yards, I think 5 touchdowns. And I don't know that he's thrown an interception this season. He hasn't in quite a while, so very accurate, can beat you through the air. And it's going to be, again, another tough test for Florida State, a little bit of a different test. But the secondary is going to need to get on their horses again this week because I'm sure UNC is going to be moving fast and they're going to be throwing the ball down the field.
There you have it, Seminole fans. Much more on UNC as the week goes on. We'll be live on Facebook tomorrow to answer your questions, talk a little bit more about the matchup. Tim, I think you're going to have something on Fred Jones later this week.
Hope so. That's the plan.
And then I'm going to have something on DeAndre Francois as a running quarterback and him in those designed runs.
You look pretty good at that, by the way.
I thought so. And, of course, if you want one of those Do Your Job t-shirts, make your checks payable to the Nole Insiders. You might get it, you might not. We'll see. We'll see if we do our job. But for Tim Linefelt, I'm Lane Hurt. Go Noles.